what's your take on Mark Zuckerberg's suggestion about a global government-regulated framework for internet regulation, given the backlash we've seen to this proposal over the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of, a little bit of an admission that they can't handle it. What we would like to see as investors, them to get ahead of, they haven't been able to. And, the government is going to come in and clean up the mess. So I really think it's an admission. It's too much for them to deal with. They're looking for the government to come in, tell them what to do, tell them what not to do, and then the accountability doesn't sit so much perhaps with the platform.
So then do you think his suggestion makes sense? Because the critics are saying Mark Zuckerberg doesn't get to make the rules.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg has a lot of power, and he's made a lot of rules so far. So if he's coming out and saying that he wants government regulation, I think that's going to have sway. He certainly proved the case by not managing the platform well, that it's needed. So, what we would like to see, and the reason we started engaging with Facebook 2 years ago on content governance and fake news and election interference and all of that stuff, was we want to see them get ahead of the issue. They've not gotten ahead of the issue. It continues to be a game of whack-a-mole. And frankly, I don't think that they have the answers.
Is Facebook too big for its own good?
Yes. It's
well, you're an investor, so Elizabeth Warren is saying Facebook should be broken up, designated as a utility, separated from WhatsApp and Instagram. Is that something that you would support?
Well, I think what we keep hearing is the problem's too big, it's too much scale, we can't deal with all of these issues, it's got to be AI that comes in and fixes the problem. That's not working. We see Instagram, which is a Facebook asset, being perhaps more poorly managed than Facebook itself. And so, if you can't handle kind of your core assets, how can you handle your other assets? And I think there is a case to be made that a smaller company would result in more innovation, and they could have a better handle on it, frankly.
So how concerned are you about these multiple investigations? The FTC looking into whether they violated that 2011 consent decree, the SEC looking into privacy violations and whether they disclosed the consequences as transparently as they should have to investors. The Department of Housing and Urban Development looking into whether Facebook discriminates against blacks and Latinos when it comes to housing and credit and jobs. I mean, that must be very concerning to you.
There's a lot that's concerning, and I think that from our perspective, looking at what's happened over the last couple of years, all of these revelations, there's a lot that's wrong. And from the investor perspective, this is not a good thing that there are all these investigations, but the company needs to clean up its act. And there's more at stake here than simply Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or any of that, because what's happening is, we have so much misinformation, so much hate, all that's being spread over these platforms, that it's bad for our democracy in terms of an informed electorate, and it's certainly, of course, bad for investors and users who are losing trust in the platform.
So what do you think it means for investors? I mean, given that you're a shareholder, say Facebook is broken up, is that better for value for you, or not?
It could be, yeah. I mean, I think there is room for disruption, and if Facebook were to sell off an Instagram asset and be able to focus on its core business, that could possibly be a good thing for investors. So I don't think that just having giant tech behemoths is the answer, because there is a ceiling on growth. So maybe it is a smaller, more nimble company.